everybody. This is Heather Lockett with Lasting Conversations, and we are having all the conversations today with a very dear friend and soul sister, Becky Grabski, zooming in from Virginia. I keep wanting to say Ohio. That's kind of an inside joke. Virginia. Hey, Becky, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here with you. It's just wonderful. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And when I launched this podcast, you were one of the first people that reached out from the interwebs to say, "Hey, this is cool, and I'm so happy for you. And I might be doing my own thing." So we'll get to that in a second. So, Becky, we met each other years ago via Panache Desai, and
Yeah.
we've been to some of his conferences and programs that who I first saw him on Super Soul Sunday with Oprah. And did you first see him there as well, or somehow he came into our lives probably at the most perfect timing?
I don't actually remember how I know that sounds terrible, but I don't
No, that's
remember. I
fine.
just remember I did one of his programs called the 21 Days,
Yeah,
program.
yeah,
And it was I don't know how many years ago that was, but it was a long time.
a while
Um,
back.
and that was the first thing I did.
Yeah.
And then
So
yeah.
this is why we're soul sisters. So we have that same kind of come from of, peace, love, and joy. All the while this gets into the work that you do, recognizing that we can be expanded into all the ethers, and we're still human and have some things that we need to talk about and discuss, and if there's been traumas and things in our lives that have happened, and how to navigate those and come to our clarity and our places of calm and peace and love and joy. So, Becky, I'm going to start giving you the microphone and tell us all the amazing things that you're doing. You're here as a light bringer to this planet, and you're using your gifts and your talents. Right now, you are a psychic counselor. You are giving great counsel to people and great love. And you will be launching your own podcast, which again, we'll get to in just a second, because there's kind of a giggle with the name and how it morphed and evolved. And we're very close in our very conversation. So,
Mhm.
Becky, tell us more about you and how you have come to be in this particular place and your gifts of light into this world.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So yes, I am a psychic counselor, and the work that I do is mainly with people who experience PTSD, trauma. They're going through major transitions in their lives, like really major. Sometimes, maybe their spouse died, maybe they're retiring, maybe their child is having a disease or something, that cancer, that they're going through so many different things. Whenever we're going through anything, whether it's PTSD, trauma, or transition, um, it just feels like we're like that little sailboat in the middle of the ocean when a hurricane comes, and that we're just being battered around, and we're sure we're going to sink, and we just sometimes, no matter what we do, we just can't control anything. And so, we're finding our way through all of these energies. And so what I do um, is really, I mean, if you get down to the meat of what I do, is I love them. I love my clients to the point of really just opening up the space and allowing them to have a space where they feel safe, where they feel calm. Their nervous system just calms down. Their hearts open, their minds open, their spirits open, and they can sink down into the essence of who they are. Because when we're going through all the chaos, it's all up here, it's out here, it's everywhere, but it's not in here. Because when we get in here, this is where the calm waters are. This is where, oh, I can breathe. Oh, I remember who I am.
Right.
Sometimes the chaos is we can't remember even what our dreams are in life, because there's just so much going on. And so I help people to come back in here, to calm down in their bodies and in their lives, and just go into those dark spaces that they're afraid of going into. And so I hold their hand and I lead them there, and in a very calm and safe way. And they get to turn the light on and kind of see what's going on. It's like, oh, okay. I didn't know this was going on. I was so afraid of coming in here, but now I realize there's nothing to be afraid of in here. And
That's right.
so I just, that's the work that I do. And I
Yeah,
help people to just get back to themselves. Yeah.
that is so beautiful. And your hand, for those who are listening versus on the video, your hand keeps going to your heart and to our body self. So it's all in here. And that the swirl of out there is the swirl of our mind and the swirl of the things that go bump in the night, so to speak, and which can be very, very real and very true.
Yes.
And then to what you were saying, you know, where I want to go from here is in the very first sentence when you're saying that you love them. Now, so many people can have a connotation that immediately want to say, but not in that creepy way, right? Because it
Right.
could be you, right? It's not from that creepy way
Yeah.
where it's gloomy or it's from a different space. It's from um, codependency, or I think in maybe the teacher student realm or counselor realm, where if someone has had bad experiences, when they say, well, I'm just going to love you. Well, no, 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 we don't want to cross into that. Describe that essence of what love actually is. This is what you're tapping into. This is why we are all really here, where love has a much more pure connotation than a lot of people who could still feel very squirrely about that very word.
It's interesting. You'd think that love wouldn't be a squirrely word, but it
That's
really
right.
is,
It
you
can
know?
be. It can
Yeah.
be.
Um, so really, I guess maybe a better way of describing it, and let me just take a moment here, is
Because it is love. And you think of a child, they just know. So it's a smile and it's what you exude. And
yes,
it's that very calm place that you're talking about. That is love. Or gosh, we could really tangent into love languages. So if somebody's cooking or baking, I call that if your kitchen is humming,
yeah,
it's that
yeah,
that's that hum, where
yeah,
music can evoke that
yes,
whatever gets our heartstrings going. Um, Lullabies, but again, where that it's so simple, but it has gotten swirly and squirrely. So I
yeah.
think that's the essence of your work, or why we're all here, is to remind people, oh, from an entirely different space, this is what love really is.
So it's interesting you use the word essence, because I use the word heart, I use
Yep.
the word soul, but
Yep.
I've recently really started switching into the word essence, because to me, what happens, when I to share the love that is inside isn't about romantic love or parental love or any other kind of earthly relationship kind of love. It's
Hmm.
not like loving potato chips or loving your mom. It is very different. And the only way that I can really explain it is that what I do is I drop down into the part of myself that is connected to the all that is. And the all that is, you want to call it the universe, the all that is, you want to call it God, you want to call it whatever it is that you want to call it. But we all are connected on that really deep level. And so what happens to me is when I drop down into that place, I drop down into my essence, and then I drop down into sort of what I feel like is the universal essence, which is also what I feel is my essence.
Hmm.
And so I drop down into that place. And that's what I really call love, and it feels like love to me, but it's not a personal love. It's a spiritual love. It's a huge love that encompasses the entire planet, the universe. That it's a tapping into that greater energy. And so when I do that within myself, what happens when I'm sitting with my client
Hmm.
is that um, I can connect with them through that place, not through my mind, not even just with my heart. Although these are certainly involved, I'm a
Sure.
human being, this is my
Let
channel.
alone your personality, all our other personal traits don't need to be in the way of these moments of clarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, I connect to them on that level. And then when I do that, what happens is that whenever you drop down into that place, you're still who you are. You're not just still who you are, you're absolutely who you are,
Right. The absolute part of
you
ourselves in
know?
the absolute. Yeah.
Yeah. And so when I connect with them from that place, it just has this effect if you're meant to work with me.
Right.
Just let me put that way.
Yep.
You know, different people are meant to work with different people. And so
Absolutely.
if somebody is meant to work with me, then this is generally speaking what happens.
Right.
Everybody has their own experience. So
Right.
really the people you should really talk to about what my work is are my clients, because they're the ones that really have the experience of working with me. So but this is the best way I can explain, is that when I introduce that level of love into their field,
Hmm.
it calms their nervous system. It opens them up to other possibilities.
Right.
It opens their thought processes, that opens their heart processes, and it allows them to if what a lot of people, they come with a big crust around their heart space,
Yep.
and when that happens, that crust can crack and some light can shine through.
Hmm.
And so when that happens, sometimes the whole crust just falls away.
Right.
Sometimes it's a process and you just have to crack and crack and crack, and then things fall away. Everybody's in their own place and dealing with it in their own way. But that's
That's
what love does. Love
it.
is the healer. Love is the magic potion. Love is the thing that is going to shift perspectives and ways of being and nervous systems. And when that shift happens, like, things just fall back, things just fall away. They have the ability of letting go, letting go of whatever it was that they were holding on to. And a lot of times, if they're holding on to grief, they're holding on to disappointment. Oh gosh, this isn't the way I wanted it to be. I'm really grieving the fact that this isn't the way I wanted it to be, that it should have been, and I'm holding on to the way it should have been instead of the way it is. And they're seeing the way it is as something that is sad or negative or bad or wrong or something. And when you really get pulled back into the very, very present moment, you realize, oh, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why this is happening. It's not bad, wrong, or whatever.
Right.
There's a reason, and it's teaching me something that I actually really need to know.
Becky, I just in my year of this show, and we get to the goosebumps part of the show, it's always a good thing. We've gotten tapped right into the little tears that are running because yes and heck yes to everything you're saying and the feeling that it evokes. And one of my own the little tear of remembrance came from a song. It's an Elton John song, you know, love what we came here for. Love is the opening door. Do you know what I mean? It's the song itself is pure and it's soft. It's from my own childhood, so I know it's like one of these little lullaby reminders. So this is where it can be so simple, and eventually you and I could just sit here and not even speak, and everything is happening, right? That's what we
Absolutely.
can call it meditation. We can call that's that pulse, the pulse of the
Yes.
heart coming in that universality. Um, so where you just went is extraordinary, and it is deep and it's profound and it's true. It's
Hmm.
absolutely true.
Yeah.
And I think that is why we are here. And so continue on. And I will say, for those who are listening, and whatever the storms are right now, I have a weird one in Florida that's about to hit. It's kind of a strange wind. Other people might be having other weather events that where we were in Tennessee last week, or in the middle of Panasha's event, and the tornado warnings, and some people died. So there are real things happening to real people,
Yes.
um, in the world, and then the
Yes.
wars and things that are so kicked up. And so again, I'm thinking of a beautiful rabbi woman who made this amazing post. It was like her heart's cry to the world and the universe and the politicians. Don't talk to me about politics. I don't want to hear from you, politicians, because I'm going to totally paraphrase it. My take is, where is the love? Where have people lost sight of everything that you're just describing? And where I was just mentioning the children, like, we're not meant to be killing each other. That is my global wish. We're not meant to be killing each other. We are brothers and sisters on this
Mhm.
planet,
Yeah.
and in the universe and in the cosmos. So when we can find our own peace, our pieces of our peace in that
Yes.
space that you're talking about, then we
Yes.
won't even consider killing each other, or being,
It would never even
it would
enter into a,
never happen.
yeah.
And that is the world that I know is we're here for. A lot of people are afraid that there's doom for humanity. No, we humans thrive and survive and have that joy and have that love and peace. And I see it every day with the younger generation, and even, multiple generations. But the kids now,
Mhm.
they know that it's not in their karmic DNA, RNA, GNA, to have any of that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Aren't
So
we, aren't we, for one, am so grateful because, we've needed this shift for so
millennia.
long. And we've been shifting. We've been
We are.
shifting,
Yes, yes, yes. Yep.
but just knowing that these kids are coming in and they don't have
Yep.
anything in their hearts about wanting to do any of that,
Right.
that damage to each other, um, that is that gives me hope for the future of humanity
Well, and also the beautiful thing is,
and
because I
the
think
earth.
all of us children have come in exactly with that pristine, oh, yay, let's just go play. And
Mhm.
then life happens through the grown-ups and all the other come froms and blah, blah, blah. But what I also keep seeing is the parents and the dads who are showing up, and the moms are showing up in a different way to then
Yeah.
be the good shepherds and good stewards, to allow these spaces of those, we can call it freedom, so that we don't have to repeat all these patterns.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, we could really rabbit hole this one, but
Yeah.
from
Well,
right, yeah,
one of the things that you said that I really wanted to touch on, which is, you know, um, you know, if what we're looking for out there is, if what we're wanting to see is peace, is love, is generosity of
hmm,
spirit, if this is what we want to see out there, then we have so many examples of seeing where it doesn't exist. All
hmm,
the wars, all the politicians who are making these decisions to fight and all these other things. There's lots of examples of how that doesn't exist.
right,
But the fact is that if that is what we actually really want to see, then that is what we have to look for.
right,
And we have to be it first. I mean, every spiritual teacher that has ever lived has talked about this, so it's nothing new.
hmm,
But the fact is that If what we want is peace in our lives, if what we want is love in our lives, then what we need to do is to go inside and find it inside ourselves, and not just find it inside ourselves,
Be it.
but engage
Yes.
it, turn
Yes.
it on. If it's hidden in some place inside of yourself because of some fear or some traumatic event that happened when we were children, or maybe even young adults, or whenever.
Right.
But
Or
if you can
yesterday, whatever
or
it is. Or
yesterday,
yesterday. Yes.
if
Yeah.
we allow the pain that we have experienced to continue to piggyback on every other experience that happens after that, then it is going to inform us, and it's going to be heavy on us. It's going to weigh us down, and we're going to, you know, not feel capable of
Mhm.
handling what our moment is supposed to be able to be. If we're carrying all the past moments with us, then we don't have what it takes to handle the present moment. And the present moment is where life really is. The past happened back then. We responded to it back then. We don't need to hold on to it today. It's easy said than done.
Right.
It's easier said than done. But the way we can achieve that, or one of the ways, and I'm sure if somebody else has another way, then I certainly am open to hearing it. But for me, is that the only way that I'm going to know who I am in the present moment is to go down and be with myself. And my mind is not really who I am. My mind is like a radio, it's like a filter. It's like, there's all these thoughts and all this energy floating around, and my mind just picks up, says, oh, what about this one? No. What about this one? No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll grab onto that one. But
Right.
it's not
Right.
really who I am.
Right.
Who I am is inside. And the deeper we can go inside, the more we can really actually know who we are. And then when we know who we are, then we can recognize, oh, that thing that I've been holding on to for decades, that's not really who I am. And that's not really serving me. And it's not really helping me. It's not really helping me create the future that I want for myself. So as I know myself, I know that I can let that go,
Right.
because that was really there to teach me something. And now I'm looking at it, I'm learning from it, and now I can let that pain go. I can keep the lesson. And then as I move forward from that deep place, from that sense of absolutely knowing who I am.
Right.
The only way to know who I am is to go deep, is
And I
to
think a
actually
lot of
live there.
that's right. And to live there. And so many things popped into my own awareness is people are afraid of that. Thus the distractions. Pick a distraction if it's
They're
TV.
afraid of who they are. They
They're
don't know
afraid
who
of
they
who they
are.
are. But that gets into the second prong of it. If from all the reasons we're talking about, and some of it is unconscious, some of it could be past lifetimes. I mean, it's
Mhm.
so deep and it's so
Yes.
big that, even before your mom's stuff, which could be her mom's stuff, which could be her dad's stuff, the layers and layers of it all. This is what the peeling back is, right? Or that crack and the light gets in. I know that beautiful Rumi quote. That's where the
Yeah.
love is. It lets love in. But you have to then, the fear can also be because you're feeling unworthy or deserving, right? Something has gotten programmed in somewhere about feeling bad, bad boy, bad girl, in whatever form. And so that has informed our very field of awareness. So this is
Yes.
a whole other construct of everything that you're describing here, Kat, that we have been so fear based and carrying around all of our, the stuff, which goes back deeply into worth, an inherent value. And if we can really tap into that, oh, what then opens? Are you seeing those moments with your clients, with yourself, with your neighbors, any of those bits
I
of
am.
humanity?
I am. I guess the real response is that, we have all that stuff.
Right.
I have all that stuff.
Right. We are
I mean,
works in progress, every single human aspect of it.
you know,
Yeah.
um, and to me, it's like, looking back at my own trauma in my own life, from childhood. And I look back into it, and for a long time I was so angry and hurt and disappointed, and like deeply so, like soul
Sure.
level, like,
Really. Yeah.
this is painful, and carrying that with me. And um and there was I didn't know how to alleviate it, so I honestly, I entered my spiritual journey because I was looking for a way to alleviate the pain that I was feeling, the sense of loss of a normal childhood, the sense of loss of, um, knowing how to, you know, uh, maneuver in this life, in a healthy way.
In a healthy
Yeah.
way. Right.
And there were so many things that I just kind of held on to. And then I was like, there's got to be what I know there's a better way. I
Mhm.
know there's a better way.
Right.
So I need to find it. And so that's when I started my spiritual journey of going inside. And when you're first starting, well, everybody's different. So everybody's journey is different. Some people can just go down into the deep end and get down into the core of their being. And the first second they start meditating, it's like
Mhm.
it's a moment for them. Other people, they have to practice a little bit more about what helps me get down deeper inside. Um, but the thing that matters is the understanding that what's happening in the outer world is not who I am.
Mhm.
And what needs to happen, if I want to make a difference in this world, then I need to know who I am. The only way to know is to go deeper inside, because we all, in our DNA, and like
Mhm.
you were saying, we all carry all the stuff from generations back, from our ancestors, from our own experiences and past lives. So the only way to sort of learn how to work with those things is to get that deeper perspective.
Right.
Who said that you can't solve a problem on the level of the problem? You have to have it go to a higher, so you can kind of look around and
Sure.
see what the lay of the land is, and so you can get an understanding. Well, that's what going deep is. And when you go really into the essence of who you are, it's deeper than the DNA.
Mhm.
It's deeper than what happened in past lifetimes.
Mhm.
It's deeper than any other thing. When you get into the true essence of beingness, there's a freedom there from all the limitations that we've put on ourselves. And if we don't practice being there, and we don't really make the choice to live there,
Mhm.
then life will constantly be bombarded by all these other things. But if we can bypass those things and get down into the essence of who we are and remember that and spend time there, quality time,
Right.
then we can remember that as we make our way through our days, as we do what we have to do, as we go shopping, go pick up kids, and go take parents to doctor's appointments, and live our lives in whatever way is the way we're living it. um, we have to bring that essence, because that's where we can really bring the peace, bring the love, bring, the divine quality that you're seeking. And when we can bring it to the table, whoever else is sitting at the table
Hmm.
can feel that energy,
Right.
and it can affect change in other people
Right.
just by not saying that you have to counsel people, that you have to tell people how to live or what to
No.
do or how to do it or anything like that. That's not what it's about. It's the essence of who we are and what are we bringing to the table on that energetic level.
Right. Well, and
And
that's the
when we,
vibration. What
yeah.
do we, because we bring ourselves with ourselves every day.
Mhm.
And who are we bringing? Our core essence, but everything that you're just saying, are we also carrying around all the other cast of characters in ourself that
Mhm.
is not exactly the most helpful. I'm being reminded of the imperfection also, as my little mic thing just went kaflooey. So who knows where that even went. So that gets into a couple of things too, when we're so worried about perfection, which could lead to when you're talking about bypassing, and many times in some of the teachings have felt like, well, you can now spiritually bypass, and that's a distraction.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
we mentioned on one of my shows with Wally Waiters about, we're talking about consciousnesses and things like this. But I mentioned about, well, to be mindful of a bliss band-aid. And I think we've
Yes.
all done that to go, oh,
Yes.
Om Shanti, and have these really amazing up here level, I'm on the 57th dimension of whatever, blah, blah, blah. That's great. Okay. What you're talking about, and as I keep getting reminded, let's bring all that into today, into this body, into this grocery store, into doing our laundry,
Yes.
into everything, versus trying to circumvent
Yes.
these pain
Yes.
points, right?
Exactly.
Because it's very uncomfortable to sit with sometimes. It just is, and that gets back into that worth and value and everything. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that, and then I the other thing I really need to talk about is your background. You have this amazing, because we have the animal kingdom, the background screen that you have is extraordinary. So I know it all kind of fits together here of what it is that you're sharing, and about those core essences, and that the real work is in our human selves. All the while, there's been all these constructs of, meeting and seeing these amazing realms, and auras and whatever it is else it is, but how to then bring that into today.
So thank you, because it's I used the word bypass, and that wasn't really the best word to use. I agree.
But
Uh,
I'm going to call it a different on ramp,
yeah,
because when we shift perspectives, you're just taking a different road, right? You're not going to go right anymore if that road hasn't served anymore. Oh wait, there's a whole new path, or maybe I'm building a new road. This is a different superhighway, and I'm going to go spelunking and take my etheric machete and remember, oh no, we're going this way now. So it's a bypass in a different phrase than the bliss band-aids, if that makes
yeah.
sense to
I
you.
I
We
think
can
that
just sort of shift, and in those shifts we can just hop a whole new timeline and go, oh, I hadn't seen it from over here. Here's something completely different. And how freeing can that be?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about discomfort
Yeah.
and our own personal darkness, where our own personal pain, and the way to get to the other side of it.
Yeah.
And really, the only way to get to the other side of it is through it.
Yep.
And so it's not a bypass. It's not like you're going to skip around it and but the path to the gift that you're looking for,
Hmm.
the light that you're looking for, is through the darkness. I don't like discomfort. I mean, who really does, you know?
Right.
But I remember, you know, as a child, I experienced so much discomfort that I just tried to avoid it for, you know, decades into my adulthood. I just didn't want to be uncomfortable. I didn't like discomfort. I avoided it. And I realized through that journey of avoiding discomfort that I was avoiding my true self. You know, I was avoiding learning who I really was in that moment. You know, discomfort is a teacher to us. It's like, okay, if we just go into the discomfort, that thing that makes us uncomfortable,
Right.
if we actually, instead of avoiding it and denying it and pushing it away, if we can actually, you know what, let's take a direct look at it
Right.
and let's walk into it. You know, I create memes on my Facebook page, and one of the memes that I created recently was finding peace means braving the wilderness of your heart. You know, because the only way that you're going to be able to really, you know, and the picture is of a woman just walking through the woods, and who, you know, and they're kind of dark, but there's this light at the, you know, on the path,
Right.
and the only way that we're really going to find who we really are is if we show up in the moment and actually ask ourselves, who are we in this moment?
Yeah.
Who do I want to be in this moment? How do I want to respond to this moment? You know, I have the choice. We think we don't have the choice.
Right. You had mentioned choice before, and then we do all have choice points. There are some circumstances that can come our way, but in some ways that's a choice that's a different
The
conversation. But
circumstances, they come, you know,
they happen, but
yeah.
how we choose to do that navigating, as you're talking about, that is our choice. And I want you to finish your thought, then I have
Mhm.
something to tap back into about pain. That some people love living in pain, period, and they will not choose to step out of it.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about, and what probably gets into your clients, right? When you said to be, when I'm being very mindful here of who I am working with, are those who are choosing to step in, do that work,
Hmm.
go
Yes.
there, and with the intent and the choice point to leave
Hmm.
with your nuggets, with your
Exactly.
gold, with your essence, with that light, not to stay there, because there's many that they
Exactly.
love it, they are going to stay there forever and take
Yep.
other people down with them. We don't
Yes.
need that either.
No.
We don't need any of
No.
that. Right.
No. This is a journey through.
Right.
This isn't you know, going into the thing about going into the darkness is that we have light. We are
We are
light
light.
beings,
Yeah, we
right?
are light
And
being.
so
We
we
are the
bring light.
literally the flashlight in the dark, but the light is still there.
Exactly. And so what, you know, some of the sometimes I use this example with my clients, which is, okay, imagine that we are in a log cabin in the middle of the woods, and like there's no little small town for like miles and miles and miles,
Right.
50 miles away, 100 miles away, right? So
Mhm.
we are in the blackest night. You know, it's dark, it's nighttime, it's midnight. We're
Free
in the
electricity. There is
no
no electric
electricity.
glow. There's none of that. It's,
Exactly,
yep.
exactly.
Yep.
There's nothing. But we have the lamp on inside, you know, the kerosene lamp or the whatever. So we have a lamp on, the light is on inside this log cabin,
Right.
right? And so everything outside the cabin is pitch black, blacker than pitch black. And a lot of times we're afraid to open the door because we're afraid that that darkness is going to come into the cabin, which is our safety net, which is
Right.
our cocoon, right? Which is where we have our light, we're safe, we're warm. And we don't want to open that door because we're afraid that darkness is going to come in.
Hmm.
But if you actually just maybe close your eyes and envision, you know, being in that log cabin with the light on inside and the darkness outside and opening the door, what actually happens? The darkness doesn't come in. The light inside the cabin does not diminish a single iota. But what happens is that the outside gets illuminated. So the darkness gets illuminated. So there's less darkness out there. The light does not dim. And so when we bring ourselves to whatever it is that we are dealing with, whatever pain, whatever darkness that we have, and we really and truly bring ourselves, we go down and we find who we are, and we know who we are, and we bring that to the table. We bring that to whatever sad or dysfunctional or irritating or anger causing or whatever situation that we're in. We can bring light to it. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, we're completely comfortable with whatever is happening.
Right.
It means that we are the best versions of ourselves in the situation. And so the decisions that we make, the ideas that we have, the creativity that we can bring, the gifts that we can bring to either solve the problem or shift the energy or change the situation or whatever is that much more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a different perspective. We don't have to go into that, like we're coming into Christmas, a lot of Christmas, families get together for Christmas, and there's all kinds of family dynamics that, once you back with your family, you're back to that being that kid again,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. But if you can prepare ahead of time and say, listen, I know who I am. I'm going to take the time that I need to go inside, remember who I am now, not
Mm-hmm.
when I was a kid,
Right.
and bring that into the surface of who I am now. Bring
Right.
that. And then I can go in and I can also prepare ahead of time by saying, okay, I know Uncle Bob is going to be there, and he's going to be drinking, and he's going to be, spouting off about this or that, and he's going to bring the energy down. I know that my mom is going to be whatever it is that mom is for you, in that moment. I know, my brother or my uncle or my father or whoever it is that's there are going to bring whatever they're going to bring to. I know that. But I don't have to be reactive to it.
Right.
I can just let them be who they are and let myself be who I am.
Right. Just watch the TV show and go, oh yeah, look at this cast of characters.
You
Isn't that
know?
funny? Right.
And also it's like, who do I want to be in this moment? What do
Right.
I want to bring to the table? Like, okay, I can bring my essence, I can bring my love, I can bring, all this to the table. But,
And
it's like when we're dealing with Uncle Bob, and he's drinking and he's doing his stuff, it's like, who do I want to be in the moment that I'm watching this happen? Do I want to be judgmental, or do I want to bring love and compassion and kindness to the table? And do I want to bring a sense of looking deeper at Uncle Bob and not just what he's doing, but maybe why he's doing it?
right.
Maybe what caused Uncle Bob to, evolve into the being that he is? Maybe have some compassion for that. Maybe, bring some understanding to that,
Sure.
and
And
change the vibe of the table.
and
If you
and
give the energy of when you were a kid and you were out of control because you were a kid, nobody gave a kid the control, and so you didn't have control, and so you had to act up, or you had to do what you had to do to survive as a kid. And if you're going to be in that same place, you're just going to keep that energy of the past. You're going to bring that into the present, and you're not going to be bringing your gift.
Mhm.
And the fact is that you have a gift to bring, and the other people at the table need your gift. And if you go back and be that kid again, instead of who you are now, and bring the light that you are now, then the people that you love, yes, there are issues, yes, it's dysfunctional, but you love these people, they're your family. And these people are not going to receive the gift of who you really are. And now that doesn't mean you have to start spouting
That's what I was going to
your
say is
philosophy or
right,
your
right.
beliefs or
Sometimes
anything.
saying nothing is best
Yes.
medicine.
It's
And
just
just,
the
yep,
energy that you bring.
that's right.
That is the gift.
Right.
And that opens people up to shift themselves. My cat agrees. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've heard
I heard a
that.
little, I think so, because it makes us that safe space. Because if we're not going to then engage with that dance, if the cast of characters is doing what they're going to do best, whether it's the drunk uncle or whoever it is, then that's where we can change that perspective and either learn what we can say to bring everything that you're just talking about, or to not say and really be on observer mode and let
Mhm.
things play through. Because
Yeah.
then to step in and engage, um, where
Feeding the
dare
fire.
not dare tread type of a thing is this makes us also unsafe. So if we come in our own bully pulpits to say, yeah, but how about this way or this politician or blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
Hold on, what is that even doing? Is that helping the situation, or is that fueling a fire that doesn't need to be there? And then let's
Exactly.
remember the fun part. The whole purpose of this deep dive, the deep dive is, and this is really the nature of what this season is, whether it's Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, all of this is a season of light and joy. We're coming into solstice, which is a change of season, which we're having a new year in the Gregorian calendar that we're used to, New Year's.
Mhm.
Um, things are moving and evolving. It's a very dynamic time. And it's been this way no matter how one celebrates, it is a celebratory time of shift and change and new season. And so, however that's playing out is exactly gets into who am I going to be today? Who would I like to shift into without having to heal, change, or fix? But who am I now in the next moment? And the vision for this upcoming year and in this season. So as people are also navigating um, the stuff that can kick up our junk, right?
Mhm.
It's to remember, oh, this is fun. There is music. No wonder Elf is playing 24 hours because that's nothing but silliness and joy. And if you have to
Right.
sit and watch Elf all day, every day to be there, God love you. That's the
Mhm.
okay, cool. Right. And so
Go for it
remember,
if that's your thing.
go for it. Go for it. Because that was the effervescence and the exuberance. So we get to remember those parts. That's sort of the whole point.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't want to get all scripturey, but literally, a child is born. Like we get to be born and have the fun of what
Yeah.
this earth and this planet is all about.
Yeah.
Of course, now I'm singing Charlie Brown and everybody's singing, "Loo, loo." That's it's silly, but that's from my childhood and so many generations. This is what we're talking about. We can come together and sing these songs
Yeah.
of sadness, joy, hope, exuberance, light.
Mhm.
Um, add your flavor or brand of religion if you wish, because it all comes down to the same thing:
Yeah.
love in
Yeah.
that universal harmonic.
And I think one of the other things is this, like, you know, as you go deep, as you discover the love that you are, the essence that you are, the question that you can ask yourself is, for me,
Hmm.
what makes life worth living? You
There
know,
you go.
and that's a question that I've asked myself a lot
Right.
because I've gone through so many different phases of life and so many different ways of being in this lifetime, and so many different iterations of levels of dealing with past traumas and moving through things and all that. And there are times when life is dark. Issues happen, and you're just not sure how to proceed, and things get heavy, and perhaps I mean, for me, it's like you start questioning. It's like, well, why am I doing this
Hmm.
anyway? What
Right.
is this really all about? And
It gets very existential very quickly.
you
Yeah.
know,
Why am I even here? What is the point? These are things. And then I would say, surround yourself with somebody, at least one other person. Help them bear witness with you, to know that you are here, you matter, you count. Reach out, each one, reach one. And then if
and
there's a bigger circle, have a bigger circle.
exactly.
Know you're
And
never alone.
to ask yourself, so and I think it's really important to know the answers to these questions, even if you don't know them fully,
Right.
even if you have just a glimpse. It's at least something to follow. But ask yourself, what is it that makes my life worth living? What is it that why am I continuing to be here? Like, why am I? Because I'm choosing to be here.
Yeah.
I'm not choosing to leave.
Right.
I'm choosing to be here. I'm
Right.
choosing to live. I'm choosing to continue on. Why? Like, what is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I want to experience? What is it, what is it that for me makes life worth living? And so, like, for me, knowing that I can make a difference for other people, that helps me know that, what, there's a place for me in this world.
Right.
You know, I know that, I've saved some lives in the past, and I
Yep.
know that there are more lives to save in the future. And not just life as in the physical body life, but the emotional body, the
Right.
spiritual body, the mental body, all of them together. Um, I know that. And I know that about many other people. And I know that, that's one of the things that drives me. But then there's also like, well, what do I want to get out of this life? What is
Hmm.
it that I really want,
Hmm.
to receive,
Right.
and
Right.
then, have the answer to that. And then, you know, then you get into the other divine qualities that need to come up, which are, courage, and decisiveness. And these are things that I've grappled with at times. There are
Hmm.
times when I didn't have the courage to do what I really wanted to do, say what I really wanted to say, be who I really felt like I was supposed to be in that moment. I there were times when I just didn't feel like I had that courage.
Right.
And so but I had a little bit of courage. And so I just used that little bit of courage to make my next step, to take, that next, um, step towards whatever it is, you know. And there are ways of calling up the courage inside, and there's ways of calling up the love inside. There's ways of doing the things that we know that we want and need to do. There's ways to do that. And it behooves us to go through that journey
Yep.
of finding out, where am I going to find my courage? Where does my courage live? You know, let's go find it.
Right.
Let's go on a little Girl Scout
We're going on
adventure,
an adventure. We're going
you
on an
know?
adventure. And here's the thing. These moments, we call it darkness, whatever you want to call it, you can just go just like that and go, oh, that's the aha moment. Go, oh, it doesn't necessarily have to be a big long slog.
Yes.
And depending on what it is, sometimes it does. And
Mhm,
then, but in that instant, you go, oh, well, there's freedom right now. And this is
mhm.
great.
Yeah.
And so these are really great segues, Becky, because within your joy and the courage and the stepping into what's new, you're about to do that. But before we get there, there's two more things. Tell me about your background wall. Now, I know for those just listening on the podcast, I'll just describe it as it's like a wood screen and there's beautiful carvings, and there are elephants, and there's, I don't know if it's from Bali, and then a blue um, fabricy looking thing in the
Mhm.
background. But then we will be on YouTube, so you get to see it. There's something, either the energy there or you had an adventure. You have to tell us about your screen, and then we're going to talk about your next adventure with your own your conversation. So please tell us about this background we're looking at.
So it's interesting because I have been wanting a screen like this for I think decades,
Okay.
and I saw uh, a, a I don't remember where I saw it. I don't know if it was in somebody's home or if it was in a store or something, but I saw this screen, not this exact screen, but this design, this very, very specific design, which, as you can see, it's got, all kinds of elephants and palm trees, and
Yep.
and it is from either Bali
I was
or
going to say it's got to be Bali, Africa,
yeah,
Indonesia, some
yeah.
lands,
So,
indigenous lands like that.
yeah. And so, but anyway, this has been decades. And so I've looked, but I wasn't in a position, for some reason I couldn't get it at the time. And so, um, but throughout the years, I was like, man, I would really like to have, I remembered it was in me, and, so fast forward a few decades, and my friend Louise Klein, who is an amazing feng shui master, and beautiful friend, absolutely incredible person. Anyway, I went to go visit with her, and she had the screen, and I'm like, that's my screen. And I was like, where did you get this? And, questioned her. And so I sort of reinvigorated my search, and still couldn't find one this is the one I wanted. I didn't
Mhm.
want, there are many other screens out there with
Right.
lots of other designs. But this, for some reason, was the one that spoke to me.
Yeah.
And so eventually my friend Louise moved, she sold her home and moved to another home. And this new home that is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful, but there was no place for the screen. And so we had been doing some work back and forth with each other. And so she just decided that instead of holding on to this because she loves this as much as I do, she decided that she would gift it to me. And so it took about 20 years to get it, but now I have the screen. And the blue cloth, it's actually a shawl. It's a beaded shawl, and that is my color. I mean, I have many, many colors. I love the
Right.
rainbow,
Yeah.
but my glasses, whether you can see them
There's
or
blue. Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
and my shirt, it's just my even even my water jug is blue. Um, but it's this that's the color that reminds me of who I am.
Beautiful.
Reminds me of the depth of my being,
Yeah.
and so I tend to gravitate towards it. I also do fuchsia. I also do other
Right.
colors, but
Right. Right. Right.
but
No, I hear you.
yeah.
Blue and a royal blue, navy blue. Those are my colors ultimately also. Plus the whole rainbow.
Yes,
Plus the
yes,
whole
plus the
rainbow.
whole rainbow. There's not a single color that I don't love.
Right.
Even muddy brown
Yep.
it's got its place. I mean,
It
like this is a
absolutely.
beautiful brown.
It is.
It's a beautiful brown. And so there isn't really a color that I don't love.
Yep.
And every color has its place and its purpose and and the light that it brings forward.
Right.
You know?
Well, thank you for sharing about that. And it might seem kind of tangential, but it just kept calling me to talk about this screen and, the energy around it. And I'm sure the storytelling of whoever created it. And um,
Mhm.
maybe I'll find somebody who knows about those histories. So I'm kind of a history buff, and
Yeah,
beautiful
unfortunately, I
that
don't
it's
know the history of it,
that's okay.
but what I can tell you
Right.
is that having this is my living room, and this is I'm sitting on my couch, and this is behind my couch,
Hmm.
and I can tell you that bringing this into my home shifted the entire energy of my home.
Did it?
And absolutely. And it almost, I know this is kind of silly or whatever, but it almost feels um like it's a protective energy. Like all these elephants are intelligent.
Elephants. Yeah.
They're amazing creatures. They're family oriented. They protect their family at all costs. They travel long distances to get to where I mean, it's like they're phenomenal. They're amazing. And so I've got all of that elephant energy. It's got my back,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Right.
You know?
Family. There's wisdom. There's family. The palm trees. All of those representations. It's extraordinary. And
Yeah.
whoever it was built and it came from, and those lands. That's great. So now, your conversation, where you're stepping in. This
Mhm.
is really cute. So you are about to launch your own podcast show
Mhm.
and have guests. So
Yes.
tell us all about that. And I loved, we might as well say, you had one vision with one name, Becky and
Mhm.
Friends. That
Mhm.
felt great. And then what happened?
Well, the way the whole podcast thing it started for me was that I have an enormous amount of friends that are phenomenal, like
Mhm.
really phenomenal people. They either are just beautiful people in themselves, have a lot of wisdom, a lot of humor, a lot of talent and creativity, artists. I've got people, friends that are very, very well accomplished and very successful in their careers worldwide. And so I've got all different kinds of friends, but every one of them has something really valuable to share. And so I'm like, man, I really wish that these conversations that we're having could be
Right?
recorded and other people could listen to them. They're amazing.
This is
And
where you
so,
hopped in to say, Heather, you're doing a thing. This is so cool. I'm thinking about it too. What do you think? And so this is where, again, the soul sister side
mhm,
by side, because it's as simple as what came through at my year is ordinary people doing extraordinary things, right? Not
yeah.
only is my show a soft place to land, your show will be a soft place to land,
Mhm.
but just having these moments with just cool people. They may or
Yeah.
may not have, status names, but
Mhm.
the status is in everything that we've been talking about today.
Exactly.
What the
Yeah.
journeys are, what their visions are, what their art is, what it is that they bring to this planet.
The
Those are the,
bravery that they
yeah,
bring to the table when they are dealing with something that is extraordinarily painful and
hmm
they make it through to the other side.
hmm
And they not only make it to the other side, but they're standing
and they're thriving
and they're
and they're
thriving.
joyful, and this is the joyful noise, right?
Exactly.
These are the
Yes. And
conversations.
so it's like so
Yeah.
these are the folks that I have interest in talking to, and I talk to all the time, just not on camera. But I wanted to bring it, I love learning about people. I
Right.
love questioning them. I love knowing who they really and truly are. So that's part of the reason why I love my work is because I just really love to delve deep into who you are. Man, that just feels so much fun to me and so wonderful to feel that light and love that's inside somebody else and to connect with that and to know that light exists in the world.
Yes. Yes.
That to me is one of the most beautiful things in the world,
In
and
that
in my
flavor.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In that,
exactly. That
in,
that
yeah.
specific flavor, that little tint of light,
Yep.
whatever that is, it's just so specific and so unique, and it's so wonderful. And so I love connecting with that. So
Yes.
so then I thought, well, Becky and Friends, that's a natural, I've got all these gorgeous friends who have these gorgeous hearts, and it would be perfect. But I kind of got stuck there. I couldn't figure out what my tagline would be. I couldn't figure out where I really wanted to go with it. And so finally I was a guest on somebody else's podcast, and we were going back and forth and trying to figure out what we were going to talk about for that episode. And I said, what I really like to talk about is going deep.
Mhm.
And what I really love to have are conversations about what makes life worth living. And so then I was like,
Aha.
I have to let go of what I thought it was going to be
Yep.
so that I could allow what needs to be to come to fruition.
Yes.
And so I changed the podcast, and it's going to be called Going Deep with Becky, Conversations about What Makes Life Worth Living. And so
Beautiful.
I've started getting all of my ducks in a row and started dotting all my I's and crossing all my T's and getting things prepared. And I've got different people lined up who have said yes to be a guest. And so I am going to be starting. So 2024 is going
Mhm.
to be a big year for me
Yay.
as I go through this process and I, develop and I learn. There's a lot of learning that's going to happen, and editing, and all of those kinds of things. But this is my dream to bring to connect with all these shining lights and to have a place, a platform to share that light with others.
Right.
To feel that connection, that love, that light with somebody, and to let other people see that light too.
That's exactly it. I think that's
Yeah.
really why we're here in all of our different flavors and iterations.
Hmm.
Once upon a time, mine was waiting tables, and
Hmm.
then raising kids
Yeah.
and creating community and creating friends and having wisdom circles and sound baths. And then that morphed into now you're going to have this show and
Yeah.
invite people that you know or total strangers, but you have that kismet, that moment, because
Yes.
everybody has something to say. Everybody has something to say.
Yes.
And I love that you are coming into your fruition to have your conversations. And I'm so happy that you've been joining me here. What else would you like to share? And of course, you do have a website.
Hmm.
And what other little Becky nugget do you have today?
Oh gosh. I think the last thing that I would like to say is it's time to do the work
Oh,
of knowing yourself, ourselves. It's time to do that work. And it doesn't have to be arduous. It doesn't have to be scary, but it does have to be done. It does have to be a choice that you make to do the work of knowing yourself,
yeah.
of going inside, prioritizing that, and being determined. Because the only thing that's really going to get any of us through to where we really and truly want to be is if we know who we are. And then when we know who we are, our path unfolds. We can find, oh, this is who I am.
Hmm.
Oh, this is what's really important to me.
Hmm.
This is how I really want to live my life. Without asking those questions and without delving deep to find those answers, it's not going to happen. We have to do the work. And it's time. The energies that are happening on the planet, it's forcing us all, these situations that we're in, these hardship situations, these things that are breaking us open or knocking us down. These situations are not here to destroy us.
No.
They are here to guide us, to lift us up into where we're supposed to be. But
Yep.
if we keep fighting the energy, then we're not going to accomplish what we're here to accomplish. We have to say, okay, wait a second, this is forcing me to stop. So what am I going to do? I'm going to, for God's sake, stop.
Hmm.
it's time to just stop with all the nonsense, with all the denial, with all of the fear of moving forward, or of getting into what we're supposed to get into, or fear of, oh no, I was rejected in the past, and so I have fear of being rejected in the future. But if we keep holding on to all that stuff, we are not going to evolve into who we're supposed to be. So the time is now to make a decision, to go inside, find out who we are, be brave, brave that wilderness of our heart, find who we are, go down the path that we know that we're supposed to go down. The energies are here to support us
They
in
are.
doing that.
Yeah.
Now,
Right now.
we feel like all of these changes that are happening energetically in the planet are taking us away from stuff. It's not. It's bringing us to where we're really supposed to be.
Well, it's thank you and thank you, preacher lady, shaman, wise woman that you are. Um, we're getting drop kicked, right? The
Mhm.
energies are here to drop kick us into a whole nother dimension, into a whole nother way of being.
Yes.
And what you were just saying is we are leaving what no longer serves us, what no
Right.
longer serves the planet, but no longer what serves us personally. So for some people, maybe that does mean leaving a marriage, or leaving a job, or leaving a house, or leaving your things, or whatever you have to shed as the proverbial caterpillar to
Yeah.
fly. But
Yeah.
shedding all of these old programs where we are getting shake, rattled, and rolled
Mhm.
into something that isn't meant to break. Well, it's meant to break us from every
Open.
open. It's an
Yeah.
opening. It's an
Yeah.
opening. And sometimes it does in the form of a land,
Yeah.
earthquakes. And so the planet is shifting itself too. And we
Yeah.
just love her and she loves us back. And
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, Becky. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. So there is one more thing, and
Hmm.
you have been so gracious to me as a friend, and allowing me to come to share with you on this podcast. And so I just wanted to give your listeners an invitation
Hmm.
that if you have any inkling that you might want to work with me, go to my website. It's beckygrabski.com, and it's spelled BeckyGrabski.com. And my whatever I'm offering is on my website. But the thing that I want to offer to your guests, or to your listeners, is if you feel like you'd like to join me, you can go to the contact me section and just put in lasting conversations in the subject line. And then, you can do a little note if you want to. But I will collect all who have done that, and I will choose someone to offer a free session for. And so if
Beautiful.
anybody wants to give it a try, you're welcome. And if you feel like I can be of service to you, that's my life purpose, is to be of service. So I just welcome anybody who wants to do that.
Becky, that's very generous and very loving. And the information will be in the show notes what do they call them? Listen notes, apparently. So we'll have all of that information there for your website and contact information. And Becky Grabski, thank you so much. I want to say Mazel Tov, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, um, happy joyful noise. And I'm so appreciative of your time, your wisdom, your essence. And thank you so much.
Thank you. And happy 2024 as we navigate these new energies, because
That's
it's
right.
bringing something new to everybody,
That's
something
right.
really new.
It is.
So,
It's new and
yeah,
precious and beautiful. And it's here to remind us all that we're here to play. We
yeah,
really are. We're here to play.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks again. And thanks everybody for listening. Please like, review, and share this podcast. And if you'd like to be part of the conversations, you can email us at podcast@lastingconversations.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube. We are Lasting Conversations. We get to the heart of everything.